Uh, Hi, this is Abdul Sattar with a new episode of the Rising Stars. We have decided that we would talk to academics, experts, intellectual analysts over different national and international issue. And today we have a very important topic to be discussed. As our viewers might know, that recognition of Israel is one of the most sensitive topics in the Muslim world. Just a few Muslim states have extended recognition to Israel, and recently the Somaliland, which is considered a breakaway state of Somalia, or southern Somalia, which is based in Mogadishu, while northern Somalia or Somaliland is based in that government is based in Hargeisa. And today we have been joined by an academic from Hargeisa, and let us talk to him over this sensitive issue that has sparked a sort of controversy and fury as well in different parts of the Muslim world. So, welcome, Dr. Ahmed Farah. First, your complete name and introduction for our audience.
Thank you for having me, Abdul Sattar. My name is Dr. Ahmed Farah Idle, Dr. Ahmed Zaki. I'm currently living in Hargeisa, the capital city of Somaliland, working with the University of Hargeisa as a head of Institute of National Institute for Development and Strategic Studies. Uh, I will be very happy to be your guest. Thank you.
So, before we talk about this recognition, our viewers would like to know a bit about the history of Somalia. Maybe we might start it with the Italian attempts to occupy Somalia. So, let's begin with that a bit history.
Thank you. When we go back to the history, and Somalia was part of the agreement that Europeans, when they were dividing into Africa into their pieces, Somalia have been divided into five different regions. First region, it's called which is the capital city of Somalia, located is Mogadishu. That is the Italian Somalia, which is was under the Italian colony. There was a British Somaliland, where the Somaliland now is located in Hargeisa, where I'm currently living. There was a reserve area which goes under the Ethiopia, but on that time it was under the British rule on that time. There is a Djibouti, which became an independent country, which was under the French colony. And there was a NFD department, which is now part of Kenya, and it was under the British. So three parties of Somalis were under the British, and two parties were, one was for French and the other one was Italian. There was a movement on that time in Africa. There was an atmosphere that going against the colonial independent movements were going across the continent. Somalis were not separated from that movement, and the basic movement for the whole Somali region was that it was a united Somalis, or greater Somalia, what we call, and the ambition that was uniting all five regions of Somalia. That campaign started from the right place that now Somaliland located in northern part of Somalia, currently call it Somaliland. And this is where the movement of Somali, uniting Somalis, started to take place. Italians were controlling the southern part of Somalia, which is currently Mogadishu, and it was a transitional government for 10 years before the independence. So the UN was dealing with the Somalia. All institutions were already built. Central bank was established. Parliament was established already. All institutions of the government, including the police, military, and each and every state elements which have been needed, was being established, like trained, and it was ready to take over their independence back from Italia for over the 10 years. So they called the transitional period under the UN regulation. While Somaliland was under the British colony, there was three political parties was running for the independence. When the independence came, it was just 4 days before the southern part of Somalia. 26 June 1996, Somaliland got independence from British. 36 countries sent the recognition, like congratulations for the independence of Somaliland as a separate state have been recognized. One of them was Israel, which have been currently again recognized Somaliland twice. And Somalia now in the seat of the United Nations, the Somalia seat is being awarded by the Somaliland under the British rule. So it's 1926 and 1960, 26 June 1960. That was the recognition that had been given to Somaliland, and now is united with the Somalia in July with voluntary unification, which have been not been politically ratified, legally not been ratified into a parliament, and later on it take place. Mohammed Siad Barre took the power from the civilian government to make it a militarization of the country in 1969, and Somaliland since that time till the collapse of the central government of Somalia under the Siad Barre, it was being marginalized massively from the southern part of Somalia. And there was no recognition till today we are talking. Somalia want to remain in the unification of the southern part and northern part of Somalia to remain a united Republic of Somalia, but they never recognize it. The losses, the devastation, and the manipulation that they have faced with the unification, which they voluntarily bring by themselves, advocating by themselves, and bring the government before they get independence from Hargeisa to Mogadishu, and yet there is no recognition from the other part of Somalia. Unfortunately, Somalia remains a 5 years chaos and unstable country, while Somaliland developed domestically built institutions without a foreign help, built institutions of the government, system of politics which is working for the people, based on democratic and transitional hybrid system which works for whole East Africa, and now it became a global eyes after the recognition of Israel in 25 December 2025.
So it can be said that it's not the first time that Somaliland has been recognized, but by Israel, but it also happened in 1962, if I'm correct.
Israel was the first nation to recognize in 1960 when Somaliland got independence from the British. There was already clear indications that the Somaliland and Israel had already had a previous history.
So, can you, like in a few minutes, summarize the tribal composition of Somalia and also sectarian composition? I assume that there are very few Shiite or almost it is 100% Sunni state. So, state, what is the tribal and religious or sectarian composition of Somalia?
Somalia is, in terms of the religion, uh, they are Muslim, almost 100% Muslim Sunni. There are few Muslims which we call like Shiite Muslims, but they don't have a significant number, and they are not living in the geography of Somalia. They are now uh, appearing from a part of the Somalis under the Ethiopian administration, but they are not that much significant number that you can claim that they might have a residence or some geographical locations, or might be some grouping societies. They appear sometimes in online, but they have zero significance in the Somali society. When it came to the ethnicity, Somalis have a kind of tribal society. There are two types of Somalis ethnicity. One we call Somalis, which speak fluent Somali, and there are other Somali we call Somali too, which is African descendants, but they speak also Somali, but their Somali is quite accent-wise different. But that's not also another issue which can divide Somalis. They collaborate together, they live together, they marry each other, they participate political equally with equal rights. But Somalis, they have another problem which the rest of the world don't have. That is the tribal composition of power. They divide the political power in the federal government of Somalia into 4.5, what they call four major tribes in Somalis, which namely call it Hawiye, Darod, Dir, and Digla Mirifle, which is the four largest tribal groups and now significantly making the conversation of the federal government of Somalia. And 0.5, which is the minorities, groups of minority tribes have been combined. So that's why they call the 4.5 as a formula have been divided into a federal governmental power. Anyhow, that did not materialize it and didn't bring any political stability yet into a southern part of Somalia. That is kind of a societal, like a socio-political environment in Somalia.
Hmm. And what about like denomination in terms of Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali, or Hanafi? What is the percentage of Shafi'i, Maliki, or Hanafi?
Somalis, they have a majority, they are Shafi'iyya. There are some old school of uh, Islamic thought, which is kind of Sufism. But we have a significant number of Sufism society, but largely they are under the they are the fellowship of the Imam Shafi'i,
Followers of Imam Shafi'i. So let's
followers of
talk
Imam
about a
Shafi'i.
bit history of the differences between Somaliland, which is mainly northern Somalia, or several
Mhm.
parts of northern Somalia and southern part Mogadishu. What are the differences? How did these differences emerge?
uh, Somalis, they don't have like kind of what the rest of the world have searching as a difference between Somalia and Somalia. And there's another problem that the world did not understand yet. The name of Somalia and the name of Somaliland, when you translate it into English, it's almost equal. Like it's a Somalis as a ethnicity and Somaliland as a land of the Somalis. So the person who don't know the difference between Somalia and Somaliland will still confuse what's the name, what's the difference between the names. But particularly it came from the British name, which we call British Somaliland. So we removed it after the independence, the name of the Brit. We omitted the name of the Britain and remained the Somaliland as a name of the republic. When it came to the difference, there is no difference in language. We speak all in similar language. There is no difference in socio-economically, social movement, social integration. There is no big difference when you see in even in the structural wise or appearance of the human from the southern part of the northern part. Similarly, they are almost equal. There are little bit differences when you deeply integrate it, but there is no general differences. The major difference that the Somalia and Somaliland have is the political differences. The political philosophy which is available in Mogadishu and the political philosophy which is available in Hargeisa are completely opposite to each other. Somaliland, they believe that they have to serve their own people, work institutions which develop without the interest of any third party, without influence of the international community, without interference of the Muslim world or non-Muslim world, without the interference of the neighbors. They built their institutions to serve for their own people. While Somalia never ever tried to build any institution which works for the development of their own people. So every government which have been built in Mogadishu since the collapse of the central government of Somalia, they have never experienced their own government which they produced by themselves. It was always international community which is feeding them, spoon feeding them. They are paying their government expenses. The budget have been paid by the foreign governments. The security have been guaranteed by the foreign forces. The political differences when it came, just like last night, when the political differences came, they don't have any mechanism to sit together to solve their problems by their own. There should have to be an international partner to resolve their differences. So they have never ever tried to bring solution for their own problems. That is the major difference between Somaliland and Somalia, and that is why they cannot compare to each other. They cannot even have a political vision to each other. So the people who are still stick in their mind that the unity should have to be remain, there is no institution that you can unite it, which is serving for their own people. There is almost illogical that you should have to go and give up your own institutions, your own government for someone who's not willing to work their own people. How they can give you space to work for you? So it's kind of illogical. That's the major difference. It's only political difference. There is no religious differences. There is no ethnicity differences. There is no social differences. There is no historical differences. The major differences are political differences, and that's why the Somaliland and Somalia cannot go side by side in Egypt.
So in a way, it can be said that Somalia is very homogeneous country in the sense that you have the people speaking the same languages, you have people belonging to same religion. It is only tribal to some extent and political. Now let's come to important question of Israel. Why did Somaliland recognize Israel despite the fact that the Jewish state, according to international media reports and a number of human rights organizations, has killed tens of thousands of people. Some estimates go to the extent of suggesting that it has killed more than 70,000 people, including women and children. So, why did, despite all those what critics called brutalities of Israeli states, why did Somaliland extend recognition to Israel?
Okay, Somaliland, why they recognize Israel? It's very important question. Somaliland, since they claim that they retain, they revoke their unification with Somalia and reclaim their independence. There was no single state recognized. Uh, I mean, there's no single state recognized member of the United Nations. There was a state which have recognized Somaliland as an independent state, which is Taiwan, which is also certified by themselves as an independent state from the United Nations to be a member of the United Nations. Israel is the second country, but it's the first country to recognize a member of the United Nations. Now, when it came to why Somaliland recognized it, when the current president, Dr. Abdurrahman Erro, came to the power, he issued a letter which he sent all the members of the UN countries, Muslims, non-Muslims, neighbors, non-neighbors, every state which is member of the United Nations, 194, 93 countries, he sent it a letter that he requested that Somaliland is ready to engage internationally, and they requested that we are ready for business, we are ready for political engagement, we are ready for diplomatic engagement. Please recognize us. It was the first nation who responded positively, Israel. Would Israel respond, Somaliland, and as an exchange, they give them recognition. So it's the first nation, member of the United Nations, recognized Somaliland and responded to the letter of the president after when they studied. It took them almost 8 months to figure out what Somaliland is claiming is really exists or not. They send their agencies, they send their expertise into the ground, they have visited all the country, they check each and everything, and they find out that it's not only claim, but the Somaliland is reality exists on the ground. So after recognizing that, Somaliland have as an exchange of the recognition that they get from Israel, they also recognize Israel as a Jewish state.
Hmm. So there are speculations that basically Israel has been talking about the migration of, or rather, the forced migration of the Palestinian people from some unknown region to a different region, and there were speculation that they might settle them or resettle them in Somaliland. What do you say about these allegations or these speculations?
This is the talking point of Mogadishu to show that they are the victim of Israel after when they fail to serve their own people. Somaliland, when they make relations with Israel, it was very clear from the first day that they are not involved anything related to Palestine. They are not against the Palestinian people. They are not supporting Israel against the Palestinian. They are just maintaining their relations with Israel as an independent state. If tomorrow Palestine recognizes Somaliland, Somaliland will also recognize Palestine as an independent state. And they will establish their embassy in Jerusalem as they have recognized Israel also. So they believe that Jerusalem has been divided into two, as the United Nations have been mentioned in their agreement, that the part of Israel and the part for Palestine. So they will be very happy to recognize Palestine if Palestine is going to recognize Somalia as an independent state. This is one point. Another point that Somaliland was the first administration in the whole African nation send their humanitarian help to Gaza. Our president came to the public, pledged the support for Palestinians, criticized Israel for the inhuman activities they are doing in Gaza, and still Somaliland have the same position. They never changed that position. Even while the foreign minister of Israel came, they clearly mentioned that we are not against the Palestinian, we are not against any nation, we are not against the rights of those people who are struggling to get their identity, their land back, their independence back. As a Somaliland struggles to get independence, to get recognition from the international community, they are also searching their own place in the world. So Somaliland is very willing, they are supporting, and but they are not going to give up for their own rights, what they have rights by themselves for the Palestinian, so that Palestinians should feel good. We are
Hmm.
going to focus first our own interests, and then we will think about the other people. This is a rational decision made every state. That's what every states do. That's what the international politics do.
How do you see these speculations, or rather allegations, that Israel wants to establish military bases there, military intelligence infrastructure, because it wants to counter the Houthi rebels, or perhaps wants to teach them a lesson?
There was a story before this one. When United Arab Emirates came to Somaliland in 2000, in 2016, there was a lot. 2012 to 2016, Emirates came. They built a massive investment in Berbera port, and on that time, if you remember, there was a clash between Yemeni Houthi with Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia with the Gulf states. They were allies. Emirates and Saudi Arabia, they were attacking Yemen to support the previous regime. And Somaliland, when they came, there was a complete debate when the president brought the agreement that Emirates want to build our port and make it modernize it, and also build a military base here. There are a lot of debates took place in Somaliland. Somaliland rejected from the parliament because it's a democratic. Nobody can overrule the vote of the parliament. President have no 100%. They don't have the power. He can bring agreement, but when the parliament ratify, that's when it comes to effective. So parliament rejected. They said that we accepted the investment of the port of Berbera as a commercial, but we are not going to accept the Emirates as a base military in Somalia, because there was a sensitivity that they might use against the Houthis. Who's going to use? It's a Muslim nation against another Muslim nation. Somaliland, there will be no possibility that they will allow Israel to bring their war back into our home, which we built in our own blood, for protecting the interests of Israel. But it was very clear from the foreign minister. He clearly mentioned that there is no coalition. There is no coalition between Israel and Somaliland against any other nation. We are working only what's beneficial for both of us. So if it's beneficial for both of us, we are going to do it together. Whether it's related to the security, whether it's related to the trade. But right now, it's very clear that they are working on 5 areas, which is number one, the economic investment, agriculture, technology, and education, particularly water engineering. They are going to work on that area. It has been clearly put in front of the parliament. Parliament approved it, and there is no related to any security related. There is no issue related to the security. Somaliland have not that much equipment to fight with the Houthis or with any other nation. We built this nation from the dust of the civil war, and we are now struggling to maintain our own peace, internal peace. So we are not ready to fight for a fight of the third country to support them for their own interest. Somaliland is not ready, and they are not going to be ready for the coming future.
So, if Israel does not want any military base, it does not want any intelligence infrastructure. Well, you said that Somalia might get some investment in agriculture, in technology, maybe in education. Many people are wondering what would Israel get out of this close cooperation with Somaliland.
There are indications that Israel is facing a lot of economic pressure because of a very long war. So they want to expand their new market into Africa, and Berbera or Somaliland will be the base. That's their very clear statement. They want to put their investment in Somaliland, spread their technology into Africa, make Somaliland the center that they are going to distribute for their agricultural business, their technology business. Yes, there will be a lot of enemy of Israel is going to intervene the relations between Somaliland and Israel. And Israel and Somaliland will be very ready to defend their rights together. How? That will be a collaboration of the intelligence sharing. When they feel the threat is real and the Somaliland will be under the attack, definitely they will sign an agreement of defense together with Israel. And that will be only and only for the defense of their mutual interests. But it will not be an offensive.
So does it mean that joint defense pact like NATO, like the agreement between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan?
Maybe. Maybe if that's going to be a threat for our existence, we will have we will have, because that's the logic. If the enemy is going to ignore the reality of Somaliland because they hate Israel and they want to harm Somaliland so that Israel will feel pain, that is completely against the normal, and that we are not going to sit and wait until the enemy come and harm while we are not having any animosity with anyone.
So does it mean that Israel will also train the military of the Somaliland?
That will be part of definitely. Well, particularly for the intelligence they will train.
And does Somaliland fear any possible attack from Mogadishu or from southern government or the federal government?
Mogadishu or central government of Somalia, they are not capable to handle their own internal peace. They have no power to influence in Somalia whatsoever. But if the external power is involved, like Turkey, for example, by supporting Mogadishu and try to pressure Somaliland, definitely Somaliland will be forced to get a protection agreement or defense agreement with Israel, and that's going to bring the conflict between Turkey and Israel into a Somali territory.
So Turkey is believed to be active in southern Somalia. Israel is now getting active in northern Somalia or Somaliland. Don't you
Mhm.
think that this region or this country is going to be a sort of cold war between Turkey and Israel in coming weeks, months, or years?
Obviously, it will be. Look, it will be very congested. Now, in terms of a reality, Turkey and Israel have a 7 billion business between them. They didn't cut all the relations with Israel. They are maintaining their economic relations with Israel, and they are lecturing the rest of the Muslim world that you should not make relations with them. Turkey was the first Muslim nation to recognize Israel as a country. Now, when it came to Egypt, Egypt is maintaining with Israel nearly 3 billion business project of the oil and gas with Israel. They have security relations cooperation with Israel, and they block civilian who were running from the bombardment of Israel to the to the to the border of Egypt, and now they are lecturing Somaliland that your flag is being mentioned by the Tawheed, and there is a kalimat shahada in your, and you are welcoming Israelis while they are supporting Israel with the genocide. Somaliland is publicly denounced it, but Egypt never publicly denounced it. Even when the Gaza was being bombarded regularly, Egypt didn't give them any sort of criticism to Israel. They were playing a mediator. They were in the mediation table, but they never criticized Israel because what they are doing in Gaza. What they have done, they block the people. Even the children were not getting a medical access to Egypt. Why? Because Israel don't want to do that. So they
Hmm.
were collaborating with Israel until Israel took over, hold the hold the territory and make it Gaza a siege. Now look, When that is the reality on the ground, all the Muslim world, particularly the powerful Muslim world, beginning from Turkey, Egypt, and Iran, and Pakistan, they didn't make coalition against Israel to fruitfully support Palestinians when they have the capability, when they have the capacity, when they have the financial material, when they have the military capacity. They choose to remain silent, not even criticizing them, except Iran, who was openly criticizing Israel because of their support with the Hezbollah and Houthis on the other side. But there is no open criticism, or there is no open threat. Now, Somaliland, which cannot be even uh, completely go against any other nation, they are only they can only maintain their own security. How they can force Israel to stop the war and genocide, while the
Hmm.
Turkey cannot do, while Egypt cannot do, and they are maintaining businesses while the genocide is going on. It was the gas, it was the pipe gases which was going inside the Turkey, going through Israel, which was being fueling the Israeli airplanes which were bombarding Gaza. And Recep Tayyip Erdogan was coming on the streets of Istanbul, showing that he is the leader of Muslim world, but he cannot do anything for that because it's going to affect his pocket.
Hmm. Now, given the fact that some of the far right leaders in Israel have threatened Turkey, believing that it's going to be the next target of Israel, don't you think that, given the fact that there is military presence or there is Israeli presence in Somaliland and there is Turkish presence in southern Somalia, so does it mean that these two countries can target Turkish and Israeli interests? For instance, Turkey could target Israeli interest in Somaliland, and
Uh,
and Israel can target Turkish interest in southern Somalia. Don't you think that it could fuel hostility between Israel and Turkey?
Maybe in the future, if Israel invests heavily in Somaliland, and that they will be forced to defend their interests. But Israel is not that much an open country where they rush everything to do, because they have a lot of enemy, and they know they have a lot of enemy in the world. So they will not be that much naive to invest billions of dollars in Somaliland immediately. They will think, they will do their strategy, they will do their calculations, and then what they will invest will be the amount that they cannot be affected by their economy. Maybe the local partners will be running the business of Israelis, but it will not be that much huge investment that Israel will go war against it. If Turkey is going to attack their interests, will be force Israel to respond. But on the other hand, when you see the Turkish investment in Somalia, it's huge. They built the largest embassy in the world that they have built ever in Mogadishu. They have the largest military base in the world, which they have outside of Turkey. It's in Mogadishu. They invested oil and gas extractions, which they are going to take for the coming 10 years. 95% will be owned by Turkish. 5% only will be for Somalis, which is extremely exploitation for Somalis. And now, if they feel that Israel is going to threat that, definitely Turkey will respond with the force. But did Israel want to do that? That's another question. Israel, what they want is that their root business for the Babel Mandeb, which is very close to Somaliland, should not be interrupted by anyone. And how they will go for monitoring the area. Somaliland coastal guard will help maintain that area will be open for everyone, including Israelis, and Israel will have a reliable partner in the Horn of Africa where they can trust Somaliland that their business will not be interrupted by any other nation while Somaliland exists and Somaliland is capable to secure that route.
So has Israel already opened up its embassy in the Hargeisa, or has Somaliland opened up its embassy in Jerusalem?
Somaliland did not open yet, but Israel have nominated a ambassador, and Somaliland nominated an ambassador. Somaliland ambassador already reached Jerusalem and received the credential from the Israeli president, and still, but they didn't open the embassy yet. But they announced that they are going to open. There will be a state visit by the president of Somaliland to Israel, and I think that will be the time that they are going to open officially the embassy with the Prime Minister of Israel. And here in Somaliland, there is already underground activities going on where they are trying to build a very good embassy here, which they will run a lot of political and trade activities in whole Africa, because they have in all East Africa, they want to be the center for Hargeisa.
Hmm. There are speculation since Israel and the UAE are very close friends, and
Mhm.
some people go to the extent of calling the UAE the second Israel in Gulf states. So many
Mhm.
might be wondering if the UAE has also played any role in convincing Hargeisa to extend recognition to Israel.
Maybe because the negotiation and the connections of the Emirati diplomats which they are exchanging with the Somali. Oh, by the way, Emiratis recognize Somaliland, but indirectly. They didn't just announce it. They are treated fully state as a Somaliland. They are accepting their passport, their visa, while they are not accepting the passport of Somalia. And their business, the huge business of Somaliland running in Hargeisa and in Berbera is coming more than 60% is coming through UAE. So there is a strong bond between Somaliland and Emiratis, and definitely they played a role, but there is no open role that you can that as an academic that you can claim that this is the sources that I have. But there is a speculation, and there is a possibility that they played a huge role.
But given the fact that there seems to be some tension between the UAE and Saudi Arabia, also Qatar, so don't you think that it would put Somaliland against those states that do not like, the UAE?
Saudi Arabia, when you see the relations between Saudi Arabia and Somaliland was existed for a long time. It's not a political, it's not a security, it's a trade business. So Somaliland is the largest contributors uh, of the of the animal like sheep and goats and for the pilgrims in Mecca. So they are exporting a lot of livestock in every year to Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia have established their mahjar here in Berbera, checking the quality and the health of the animal which have been exporting from Somalia, and they accept Somaliland as a reality, but they didn't recognize it as an independent state. They communicate with our political leaders, and whenever we go to Hajj or whenever we go, Somaliland always skip to criticize Saudi Arabia because they are maintaining very good relations, and Saudi Arabia always step back when it comes to the Somaliland and Somalia issues. They don't openly criticize with Somalia. They remain their neutrality. That shows that Emiratis and Saudi Arabia are standing in the same position when it comes to the Somaliland issue.
My last question is that it is widely believed that public opinion in the Muslim world is against Israel. What was the reaction of people of the Somaliland when Somalia extended recognition to Israel?
In Somaliland, when Israel announced it, the Prime Minister of Israel, when he announced it in 25 December last year, 2025, it was not. It was kind of a surprise. Only few people knows. The academic was already expecting. Some of the circles close to the government of Somaliland, they already knew it. There was a signal earlier came that maybe August on the same year, some few countries, including Israel, might recognize Somaliland. But it was not expecting that the Prime Minister of Israel will come a live televised video call that shown that he is supporting the independence of Somaliland and congratulating us that Israel became the first state to recognize Somaliland. It, it brings a lot of people a new hope after 34 years waiting for the recognition that Israel became the first courageous country to break the political culture of the world and recognize because Somaliland fulfill the reality that they fulfill they deserve to be a country. So in Somaliland it was not there was no expectations, but through the time a lot of people supported, and now majority of the people in Somaliland they are very satisfied the relations that they have with Israel, and they always separate between the Israeli actions against the Palestinian and Israeli relations with Somaliland as a two different perspectives. They see as an Israel as an independent country that they can have relations, work with them. When it came to the difference between Israel and Palestine, they are supporting Palestinian rights to defend themselves, and the difference between Israel and Palestine should have to be resolved in UN and in negotiation, not in gunboat.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed Zaki, and I would bother you in the future as well over African affairs. So, this is
Okay,
all for now, viewers. We would come up with a new episode of the Rising Stars with some new guests, and we would continue this ongoing discussion. We would be talking about different international issues. So, for now, this was all that we had. We would be coming with a new episode. Thank you very much for watching.
thank you for having me.